Okay, so let's do a handful of these together. Let's do G, and let's do H, and it doesn't matter really. Let's do K. So we'll do G, H, and K. So if you want to go ahead and try them by yourself first, and then watch the video and see if you got them right, then that's always a good idea, because the more practice that you do independently, the better you get at math. It's easy to watch somebody else do it and think you know it, and you might not be learning as much as you think. Alright, looking at this one, we have the choice of taking these to 15x's or taking these to 10y's. And it does not matter which one we pick, because we're going to get the same answer no matter what. I don't really care either way. I think I'm going to go with the x's, just because they're out front and it might be easier to deal with. So I'm going to take them to 15x's. Now the thing is that one of them needs to be a positive 15 and the other one needs to be a negative 15. So I think I'm going to make this one the negative, because if I distribute a negative, notice how it's going to eliminate these two negatives here. So it's actually going to give me easier numbers to work with for the rest of the problem, which is always a good idea to think ahead and to think about which one's going to eliminate the most negatives. So I'm going to have to multiply this equation by negative 3, and I'm going to have to multiply this one by positive 5. So I'm just going to rewrite I'm going to color code them, that way it's a little bit easier. I'm going to multiply everything in the top equation by positive 5. So I'm going to get 15x minus 25y equals 35. And then in the second equation, I'm going to get negative 15x plus 6y, be careful there, equals positive 3. So take a minute and let's look at it, and let's see, let's make sure that you got the same thing. A lot of times kids will mess up when you're taking a negative times a negative. You will get a positive, like no doubt about it. Make sure that is happening. And other than that, I think kids do a pretty good job. So if you're having any trouble, make sure you raise your hand and make sure you ask questions, because maybe I missed something or maybe I misspeak and I don't know it. So if you have any questions, please ask. Now we're ready to add our columns, and the 15x's go away, and then we have negative 25 plus 6. Negative 25 plus 6 is negative 19y. And then that's going to equal 38. And I'm going to give myself more room. So we're going to divide by negative 19 on both sides. And we get that y equals negative 2. So we have one of the variables solved for. Y definitely equals negative 2. Let's go back to the original equations and let's decide which one we're going to use. Looking at the two equations, I think the top one's going to be easier because it doesn't have very many negatives. So I chose the top one, but if you would have chosen a different one, that would have been fine. So we got 3x minus 5, and then y was negative 2, so we're going to plug that in. And negative 5 times negative 2 is going to be a positive 10. So we've actually eliminated all of the negatives in this one. We have nothing but positive numbers left, which is always easier to work with. And I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, and I get that 3x equals negative 3. And then I'm going to divide by 3, and I get that x equals negative 1. So our two solutions to our variables were x is negative 1 and y is negative 2. So the coordinate point would be negative 1, comma, negative 2. And that's our answer. So let's see if we can find it. And I see it here and it says farmer. Oops, nope, that's not it. We're looking for a -1 and a -2. It's bird seed. So make sure that you're being careful and that you're finding the right solution. Alright, let's do H. Alright, the first thing that I notice about this one, and why I chose it, is that it's unique because no matter which variable we choose, we're going to be going to 12. So if I pick this one, I'll go to 12x. And if I pick this one, I'm going to go to 12y. And it's kind of ironic that we're actually trying to aim for the same number no matter which variable. And because of that, it does not matter. It really doesn't matter this time which one we pick. And I'm just going to go with the first one again just because I felt like it. But I do need to make one a positive 12x and one a negative 12x. And I need to make that decision now which one I'm going to make which. I think I'm going to make the 9 the negative because it's a smaller number, and I tend to try to keep any negative numbers to be easier to deal with. So we're going to multiply the top equation by -3 because that'll give me a negative 12x. And we're going to multiply the bottom equation by positive 4. And again, I'm going to color code. I'm just going to draw a line just to break it up, but it doesn't mean I'm adding these yet. I'm really just multiplying. So I'm going to get negative 12x minus 9y equals negative 27. So there's my first equation. And my second equation is going to become 12x plus 16y equals 48. So notice all I did was distribute, 4 times all of this and -3 times all of that. And now these are my new equations. Alright, so obviously we set the 12s up to cancel, so the x's will go away. And then now we have 16 minus 9, which is 7y. And that equals 21. Notice that both of them are positive because there were more positives than negatives. And then I divide by 7, and I get that y equals 3. So I do have one of the variables solved for now. Y equals 3. Going back to the original equations, it does not matter which one I pick. All of them are positive, so I'm just going to go with the top one. I'm just going to plug it back into this one. Alright, so I'm going to plug in 3 for y. Oops. And then I'm going to solve. So 4x plus 9 equals 9. I can already see that this is going to be a little bit unique. 4x equals 0. But if I take and I divide by 4, I'm still going to get 0. 4 times 0 would be 0. So 0 is the only thing that's going to work. So x is 0 and y is 3. Alright, let's find our answer. Oh, I see it, and it says and. Okay, let's do K, and then the rest of them you can practice by yourself, and make sure that if you ever have any questions that you ask for help. So let's do K. Okay, I'm definitely going to choose the x's, because notice if I go here, I got to go to 6x. If I go here, I got to go to 35y, which I really don't want to go that high. I don't want to have to multiply by numbers that big. So I'm just going to go with x's. We're going to eliminate the x's. Always try to make it easier on yourself. Now, they're both negative already, so I need to make one of them positive. And it does not matter which one I pick. I think I'm going to multiply this one by -3 and this one by +2. And the reason why is because when I multiply -3 times 0, it's just going to be 0. So I'm going to color code these again just so we can show the difference of what we're multiplying. And I'm going to draw a line just to break it up. So the very first equation, I'm going to multiply everything in here by +2. So this is going to become -6x plus 14y equals -2. Now I'm going to multiply everything in this equation by -3. this becomes a positive 6x, a negative 15y, and a 0. Okay, obviously we made it where the 6's would cancel. So a negative 6 and a positive 6 go to 0. And I'm going to get left with 1 negative y equals negative 2. And I still need to divide by negative 1. And I get that y equals positive 2. So again, it wasn't that bad. You know, finding the first variable is actually the easiest one. So y equals positive 2. Looking back on the original, I think I'm going to go with the top one. I'm going to keep that top one. So negative 3x plus 6 equals negative 1. And instead of the y, I'm going to put 2. So I'm going to get negative 3x plus 14 equals negative 1. I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. I get negative 3x equals negative 15, and then I divide by negative 3. And x equals positive 5. So hopefully by now you're moving pretty quickly through these. If not, then definitely take your time and practice, because just like all math, a lot of it takes a lot of practice, and nobody's good at it at first. Nobody comes in knowing everything. So y equals 2 and x equals 5. So we're looking for 5, 2. And it looks like it says cheap, which I guess is supposed to be spelled that way. So the rest of them I want you to do by yourself. And if you have any questions, like I said, always ask. I will always answer your questions as long as you are working and trying to improve.